Good morning, stepsons. Time for another Monday morning shave video. And I want to follow up on what we talked about last week. If you remember, we talked about the question, if something bad happens to you, does that mean you're a bad person? Because in that video, there's a question that's probably most important for those of you growing up without your dad in your daily life. That's, if you think of growing up without your dad as a bad thing that happened to you, which that's how I did, it was hard. It's hard for you, I'm sure, sometimes. I've seen comments on some of the posts and the videos that it's hard when you see a dad playing catch with their son or their child, and you don't have that option. And so it feels like something bad happened to you. Like last week I told about the motorcycle accident I had the day after my son bought it. That wasn't a bad accident, but I got some road rash. Well, losing your dad or not having a dad with you is a bad thing. At least it feels like a bad thing. There's a risk you're going to be at, stepsons, and that is to start deciding that maybe because your dad left you, if that's the situation you're in, that there's something wrong with you. That was the main point of that message last week, is it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you because your dad's not there. And I'm talking to that one because that's how I felt when I was growing up. Like, what's wrong with me that my dad would leave me? Especially because I loved kids so much. I really loved kids, still do. And so I couldn't figure out how a dad could leave his kids unless something was wrong with his kids. That's the wrong conclusion to come to. So in terms of following up from last week, if you feel like there's something wrong with you because your dad left you, you need to understand that that's not what that means. That's a lot easier to understand that intellectually than to change that with your feelings. And that's one of the hardest challenges of growing up without a dad, is feeling like something's wrong with you, or being afraid that you're not going to know how to be a good dad if and when that time comes for you. And I hope it will, because there's nothing more satisfying or fulfilling in life, at least not for me, than being a dad. That's also, by the way, probably the thing that's been the most challenging for me, is being a dad. So I hope you have those opportunities. Your dads grew up in a time when it's become less fashionable to be a traditional dad, meaning you stay married to your mom, you spend time with your kids, you provide for them, and you just kind of do the dad things with them. Well, that's become less popular, or less acceptable than it was a long time ago. So I say that because I want you to have some empathy for maybe what the influences have been on your dad that have possibly led to why he's not there in your daily life. It was hard for me to understand how my dad could do that. When he passed away, I was at the funeral, and my sister-in-law gave a talk, and she mentioned how my brother had come to know my dad better and to forgive him. And when she said that, I had to ask her after, what was that about? Because I hadn't talked to my other siblings about the feelings I was having. And she's, when I asked her, she says, well, because he left. He learned to forgive him because he left, because he wasn't there. And I say that to you because that might be a lot to ask of you in what you're going through right now. But if you can forgive your dad because he's not there for you, that will help you heal better. Remember, just because something bad happens to you doesn't mean you're a bad person. Because your dad is not in your daily life doesn't mean you're not going to be a good dad. And just like last week when I held up my hand and I had scabs here and some road rash here, you have to look closer now. There's a little bit, but it's mostly gone in 1 week. Just like my hand is healing, you can heal too. If you choose to be a good dad, you can do that, even though your dad may not be there. In fact, you can probably learn things as a result of your own experiences growing up without a dad, and make decisions to be better because of what you've learned from the mistakes your dad has made. Best ways to learn are from what other people's mistakes, what the mistakes that other people have made. And the next best way is to learn from your own mistakes. And we all make mistakes, and you're going to make them too. But it doesn't mean you can't succeed, and it certainly doesn't mean you can't heal when you've suffered some pain as a result of your mistakes or other people's mistakes. So, follow up from last week. All of these messages, I want you to know 2 things you can succeed even though your dad may not be in your daily life. And number 2, always remember, your stepdad loves you. I'll see you on the next video.